Dear chess friends, this is Jirka Dufek on our chess channel, and today we'll finish our journey through King's Indian defense with the game Tang versus Book, which was played in St. Louis 2018. And this is the second game on Semish variation. And before we start, I have to notice that I a little bit changed move orders in the first move because I would like to explain something special. Okay, let's start. d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, f3, short castle, bishop e3, and now Bong played knight bd7. And I would like to explain why I think this move is very good. Firstly, as I covered in the previous video, I think that e5 move simply gives white some kind of advantage after d5 or after knight e2 and d5 later, because simply white has more space. I think that against Semish variation, the best way how to react is to transpose to some kind of Benoni structure after c5. But now c5 is of course probably the best move, because after d5, e6, queen d2, ed, cd, we have just structure which is fine for black. But I think from practical play, from practical point of view, is quite problematic dc, which is theoretically very good for black, but in game which arises after dc, exchanging queens, bishop c5, knight c6, I think it's not so practical to play this variation with the black pieces, because white is pawn up, and of course there are some subtleties, and even if black has absolutely full compensation for a pawn, but if he will be just in time, something like bishop e3, rook d1, and then knight d5, which is not so easy to reach, but I think it can be quite dangerous for black. And I would like to sidestep this line, and this is why I think that knight bd7 is very nice trap. And maybe you would ask me why this move is worse or it's not so often played as c5. And the main reason is that now this bishop has blocked his diagonal. And from theoretical point of view, probably the best move, or by theory assessed as best move, is knight h3. Because now if the black will play something like c6, queen d2, e5, d5, cd, cd, we transpose to some kind of little bit strange e5 variation with knight on h3, which is not so good, but still it's, I think, slightly advantageous, a slight advantage for white. This is why after knight h3, the best move is a6, to not only cover to this square, but of course preparing c5 and maybe something like b5 in Benko style. And now after queen d2, black can play c5, d5, and now b5, which is very important in c5 Semish variation. Very often black is forced to play this way. Now after cb, queen a5, knight f2, knight b6, bishop e2, knight fd7, we see that black knights are very active, and knight on f2, he lost two temples to get this square, and it's not so useful on this square now. And I think black has very nice Benko style compensation. This is why probably the better, after a6, better way for white is knight f2. And now c5, I think, is slightly imprecise. because now white is not forced to play b5, because sooner or later b5 is coming. But after bishop e2, white simply doesn't need to play d5, and he wants to force black to take on d4. And after cd, bishop d4, we see some kind of Maroczy or hedgehog pawn structure. But I think this is just slightly better for white, without any doubt. That is why after knight f2 now, it's very interesting c6, which was played in, for example, in Szymanski-Niewald correspondence game in 2015. And after queen d2, black played b5, bishop e2, knight b6, b3, bc, bc. We see that there is no any long castle for white. And after bishop e6, we see some kind of weakness on c4. And why no play d5, and after cd, cd, black even sacrifice on d5, knight takes, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, bishop takes a1. And after short castle, bishop g7, black had a rook and two pawns for two pieces, and he draws very easy. I think black has full compensation. Another important line, and after knight bd7, is bishop d3, which was played in famous game Kasparov, Murcia 1990. And after c5, knight g2, it's now important immediately take on d4, cd, knight takes d4, e6, short castle, and now he move d5. And black has just enough counterplay, and even Kasparov managed to win a game. That is why after knight bd7, quite normal move is knight g2 or queen d2, which very often transpose. And now it's important not immediately c5. This is not precise, but very important is now to play a6. We will see very soon the point of this move. Normal move for white is queen d2, and now idea of black setup, and this is just b5, which is very important pawn sacrifice. White is more or less forced to take cb, ab, knight takes b5, c6. And now white needs to decide where to return with this knight, to c3 or a3. In our game, Tang played knight a3, but knight bc3 was played in top-level game, Gligoric in Stavanger 2018. And after e5, rook d1, Gligoric played rook e8, knight g3, d5, and after some very interesting logical moves, bishop e2, h5, short castle h4, knight h1, d takes, knight f2, ed, bishop d, ef, bishop takes f3. Black has just very nice position. Center is open, there is no any strategical weakness, and black is fine. Even after rook d1, there was another possibility to more or less force to draw with a d5. And after de, knight takes, knight g3. Still, white needs to do something with his kingside. Queen c2, it takes d5, knight takes, cd, queen d5. Black even sacrifice second pawn. But now, after bishop e6, queen c5, after all exchanges and rook fc8, bishop e3, rook a2, we see that this pawn will fall very, very early, and game will probably finish in draw, which is very nice if you have draw in your pocket and you can play safely. Then when we return to game after knight a3, e5 with the same idea, And the basic ideas, of course, we see it in the Gligoric game. Simply open the center with moves like ed4, d5, and so on. And then use the fact that black has all pieces in a game, in a play. And Tang played knight c4. In a game, Gutzman Hiller person, Gothenburg 2018, White made a mistake. He played bishop h6, which is typical mistake because if we see this queen h6, bishop h6, queen d2, and bishop on g7, knight f6, and this pawn on e4, there is simply a tactical shot with knight takes e4. And then after fe, queen h4, g3, queen takes, bishop takes h6, and Hiller person had a very big advantage, and he won in 26 moves. That is why probably Tang played knight c4. But the main point of black setup is clear. d5, open the center. Knight takes e5, the e4, knight takes e6. And probably from theoretical point of view, now we can stop because as we see, black is fine. And from this point, of course, both players made some mistakes, and I will try to show you some of them. For example, now Bong played queen e8, but probably stronger move was queen b6, and after d5, attacking queen, at the same time, of course, covering to knight, queen b7, knight c3, ef, gf, rook e8. We see that king side is totally damaged. Probably White cannot hide his king there. And on queen side, for example, still there are a lot of open files and diagonals, and probably something like bishop f5 is another important idea. Then I think black is probably now better. But after queen e8, queen e8 is still playable. f4, bishop b7, knight e5, rook d8, which is probably another dubious move, because better and simpler move was queen e6 with attacking this pawn with this pawn. And it's not so clear how should White defend this pawn, because there are some moves like knight g5, knight d5, and knight takes e5 and rook d8 with attack on the white center. Rook d8, knight c3, knight takes e5, fe, knight g4. We see the simple idea, and even this one. And this bishop is very important into semish variation, because when this bishop will disappear from a board, then the black bishop on g7 will be star piece for black. Queen e2, with the idea to hide the king on the queen side. What probably safer move was bishop e2 and try to make a short castle, probably with slightly better position for white. Queen e2, queen e6, long castle, knight takes e3, queen takes e3, and in this position we see that white is 2 pawns up, and of course pawn on e4 is quite weak, but his center is not stable. These pawns d4 and d5 are very weak, and if they will disappear from a board, then this diagonal will be crucial for white king. Queen b6, knight a4, queen a7, knight c5, queen takes a2, queen e3, queen d5, queen b4, attacking bishop, bishop c8. We see that white lost, or maybe better sacrifice pawn, and he wants to get pieces out, and his position has some sense now, because his king is stabilized, so there are no any open files, or of course this file is open, but knight on c5 is a very strong piece, and it's not so clear to see how should black continue, but he still found a very interesting solution of it. Bishop c4, queen e8, which is probably not the best move. Probably better was queen c6. But queen e8 was played, and now white made a big mistake, probably in time server. But this is understandable, because white is under attack or under pressure from first moves. And he wants to exchange a queens after queen e3. But he missed that after queen takes ba, bishop g4, he cannot play rook d2, because bishop h6, and thanks to this pin, white is lost. And in this position, computer shows very interesting line, or very interesting try how to save a game, but probably still it is not enough. And this is just e6, and after fe, exchanging everything on e6, bishop h6, check, king c2, rook f2, check, king c3, rook c8, knight c5, and rook takes g2. And this position is better for black, but I'm not sure that it's simply winning. And when we return back to game, he took on e4, sacrifice exchange, bishop d1, rook takes d1, but now rook c8, and we see that thanks to this pin, white is lost, because after knight d6 there is simple tactics. Do you see it? I think so, because it's very simple. Rook takes, knight takes, and rook c8, and now just another pin, or same pin, but now knight is pinned on a king, king c2, rook c4, king b3, and rook c8. And this position is winning for black, and he won in 53 moves. But things were not so simple, because these pawns could be dangerous, because the king is still far away from a queen side. Okay, but we can go now very quickly, because this endgame is out of scope of this video. a4, king f8, a5, rook d8, king c2, rook d5, rook a1, rook takes d4, a6, rook d8, rook a5, rook a8, king d3. And now we see that this king wants to go there with some counter chances. That is why black decides to transforms to rook endgame after bishop takes e5, rook takes, rook a6. And because king is now on d3, simply there is no any move on e file to go closely to king side, because after rook e6, then after exchanging rooks, there is lost pawn ending for white. That is why white played rook d5. And now black missed a simple win after rook a2, and there is no way how to cover these pawns, because after rook g5, I think king g7 with h6 and f5, and we will push to rook from g file, and simply one pawn from these two will follow it, lost endgame for white. Rook e6 was played, king d2, king g7, h4, rook e4, g3, king h6, rook c5, f5, and now we will see that. We see that after king h5 and king g4, these pawns will fall, and black will be winning. Again continued. Rook c3, king h5, rook c7, king g4, rook takes a7, king g3, h5, g takes h, rook takes f4, king g3, and rook e8. And in this lost endgame, white resign. Well, this is just end of this game. Let's make some small conclusion. After bishop e3, the main move is c5, and after d5 we have just our Benoni structure, which is okay for black. But I think that from practical point of view, DC and exchanging queens and this endgame could be dangerous for black. If you don't remember everything by heart, then probably black is in a trouble. But if you have a computer in your brain, then of course with black everything is okay. This is why I think maybe d7 is a very interesting try. And after knight e2, a6, queen d2, b5 is very nice idea with this pawn sacrifice after AB, CB, AB, knight b5, c6, a3, e5, with idea d5 and ed4, and destroy white center with strong counterplay against white king is crucial idea of this line. Some theoreticians think that knight h3 is refutation of this knight bd7 move, because now this bishop doesn't control h3 square, and they think that knight on f2 in a Benoni structure is some small win for white. I think that a6 is a very good way how to start to play against knight h3. And after knight f2, now we need to switch from c5, because c5, bishop e2, cd, bishop d4 is better for white, this kind of Maroczy or hedgehog pawn structure. But now we can, after knight f2, we can switch to c6, after queen d2, b5, with a very interesting counterplay on a queen side. After h6, there is another main move, and this is just queen d2. But now c5, d5, and b5 in Benko style is very good for black. Don't forget that after cb, you simply not take on b5, but queen a5 and knight f2, knight b6, and this maneuver to knight fd7, and then to e5 or maybe c4 with very nice counterplay. Okay, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.